Hi. It's been a while, I know, but I'm not going to apologize because I have a tendency to over-apologize, and I'm not going to do that. But I do want to chat. The truth is I have been sitting on several videos, some of which are already filmed and in the process of editing, but somewhere along the way, I just got stuck. 2023 has been quite a year. My voice is so croaky. I don't know why my voice is so croaky. I apologize. No, I don't apologize. I don't apologize. A lot has happened since I last saw you. I am now officially a permanent resident of the UK. My husband and I have started to play squash. I dyed my hair brown, immediately regretted it, and so now I'm back to red. We've hosted various family and friends that have come to visit, but really, since the very beginning of this year, my husband has been going through a lot of life changes due to mental health struggles. And by the way, I have talked to him about this and asked if it's okay to talk about this in a video. It's a big conversation to be having. I think the more people are open about mental health and the more we can sort of destigmatize it, I think we'll be better off. Yes, so he's been going through a lot of things. For him, it actually got to a point where it was affecting him physically beyond his control. We did have a fun little ambulance jobby at one point, but I'm not really going to get into the details. But essentially, as a knock-on effect of everything he's been going through, I too have been struggling a bit. I'm not gonna cry. I'm a very easy crier, and it's not meant to be a sad video, so I'm not going to. But yeah, I've been struggling a bit. Worse than I have in a long time. Also not really helped by, the state of the world and the UK in general, this big old cost of living crisis and all sorts of fun stuff. Anyway, it's all very complex up here, as we very modern apes are, but thinking about it, the bulk of my insecurities personally tend to stem from a self-imposed pressure to be something that I'm just not quite. So what am I? So several years ago, I came across a TEDx video called Why Some of Us Don't Have One True Calling by Emilie Wapnick, I think is her name. And it introduced me to the term multipotentialite. It's a person who goes through this sort of pattern of becoming intensely interested in a particular area or field or skill or something, and you just sort of dive in and become all consumed, and you actually get pretty good at it. But eventually you hit a point of boredom, and as much as you try to resist that and persist anyway, you eventually sort of let go. And then you get interested in something else, often completely unrelated, and you dive into that. It's just a cycle. And I heard her describe this, and I instantly felt validated when she says,
"See, the problem wasn't that I didn't have any interests, it's that I had too many."
Yes, that is me.
I wasn't sure how I was going to turn any of this into a career. I thought that I would eventually have to pick one thing, deny all of my other passions, and just resign myself to being bored.
Yes.
I worried that there was something wrong with this, and something wrong with me for being unable to stick with anything. I worried that I was afraid of commitment, or that I was scattered, or that I was self-sabotaging, afraid of my own success.
Oh my god, I'm not alone! There's a label for what I am!
And that feeling can be life-changing and liberating. I've put a link in the description for that video, by the way, and I actually recommend that everyone watches this video, even if it doesn't sound like it applies to you, because it may be that you know or especially work with people who are like this and are therefore not actually able to show off their full potential. Because the truth is, our society is not built for multipotentialites. It is built to reward specialists. Hi, it's Editing Jess. I don't think I quite explained this bit as I intended to. Basically, I mean to say that in the sort of Western capitalist arguably meritocracy style society that I'm used to from the US and the UK. People who have devoted their entire lives to a particular field or skill or career, who get to the top of their field, tend to receive the most praise and admiration. There is more room, I think, for the sort of Renaissance man nowadays, and I think it's actually become more necessary for a lot of people to expand their skill sets just to survive, because so many people now have multiple jobs. But still, the idolatry of individuals and the assignment of importance placed on them still tends to cater more towards specialists. So while multipotentialites are necessary in society, that's generally not how people are encouraged to be when thinking about careers. I think that's what I meant to say. Anyway, I may pop in a bit later to add or clarify anything else. So while discovering that years ago there are other people like me, and there's even a term for what I am, has helped, it hasn't eliminated these insecurities that I've grown up with. My parents in particular encouraged me quite a bit to try to find my passion. And I think this might have actually been a trend amongst parents of millennials. The idea of find what you love and make it your job and you'll never work a day in your life. I think society is kind of swinging in different ways now and is realizing that it's not necessarily always about that. It can be a great path, but it's not the only path to having a decent job, a decent career, a decent life. Not that I fault my parents at all for that, but it was something that I grew up with. My parents in particular were polar opposites in this respect. My mom knew she wanted to be a teacher from the time she was, I think, 7 years old. Went to university, got her teaching license, was an elementary school teacher, and has been teaching in one form or another my entire life. Loved it, still loves it. She is retired now, but that was one parental model to look at. My dad, on the other hand, I don't think he really felt like he found his passion. There are things that he's very passionate about and always has been. One of them is art. He loves lots of different creative things. He's done lots of different jobs, but he always lamented that he never had that one passion to go after. So I think he really encouraged my sister and I to try to be more like my mom, to try to find early what it is that we wanted. Wow, it's gotten really bright all of a sudden. I think the sun is setting. I'm just going to adjust my camera real quick. Yeah, the sun's going down, so this is going to change a little bit, but that's okay. So anyways, yes, I think he felt that she had a more fulfilled career as a result. Problem is, I'm nothing like my mother in that respect. I very much followed my father's path of having lots of different interests, being very creative, being this spread out set of passions, but no one passion. And I spent my entire upbringing trying to find my passion, which really gets you down if you don't think you have one. I've had very many interests, each of which I become passionate about in the moment, but they fluctuate, and I'm never content with just the interests and passions I have. I always want more, I always want to learn more, I always want to develop more skills, and I want to soak in a little bit of everything, but it's hard to build a job out of that or a career out of that, and it's very hard to put that on a resume, a CV, let me tell you. And it affected my schooling. I was a top student in pretty much everything going into university. I didn't know what I wanted to major in though, and I ended up majoring in mathematics because I was really good at mathematics. I enjoyed the classes. I tended to enjoy the classes because those are the best teachers I had. My teachers just made it really fun. I also was put in this program. They essentially took a small group of students and we took an 8th grade math class while we were in 6th grade, so we were 2 years ahead, which meant by the time I got to the end of my high school career, I ran out of math classes to take at my school, so I ended up taking classes at the community college in the evenings, and basically I was already ahead in math. I already had a bunch of credits going into university, so it made sense to just pick that. I felt it would be a useful degree. I never ever wanted a career in math, though.
I forgot to mention here that I actually went to uni expecting to change my major somewhere along the way when I figured out what it was that I actually wanted to study. That just never happened. To this day, I still don't know what I want to major in, and I graduated from uni 11 years ago.
So I looked through the degree curriculums. Rather than getting a Bachelor of Science in mathematics, which is what people typically get, there was a Bachelor of Arts option in mathematics. I don't think any of my professors even realized this was an option, but I found it, and it meant I was able to take a much wider range of classes, and that was appealing to me. It opened up the ability to study a foreign language, which I'd always wanted to learn Italian. I then did a summer studying abroad in Italy, where I studied not maths, but music and art. I also took a lot of music and art in university and theater. I was a music minor though, so that actually, sort of contributed anyway. But I took so many sort of one-off interesting classes. I took this one class at the School of Journalism that basically was a graphic design class. That one class is the reason I got my job that I had right before I moved to the UK, which was a fantastic job. But I would not have gotten that job had it not been for that one class, and that class had nothing to do with my degree. It just worked out that way. And now it's really dark, which is probably my sign that I've been withering away. All of that being said, no matter how much I try to allow myself the freedom of being who I am, a Jess of all trades, life inevitably tries to constrict you. And going back to my husband for a moment, his mental health journey this year, his main priority has been authenticity. So perhaps why I took a sudden downward turn recently was this subconscious realization of my own inauthenticity, which includes this YouTube channel. Because I built this channel purposefully to shove myself into a box. I purposefully built it against who I am. And that's possibly why I've been resisting it for the last several months. Why would I do that, right? Well, because the YouTubers I personally watch tend to be specialists. And it's getting bright again. Yeah, so the people I tend to watch on YouTube tend to have some sort of distinct focus, or at least that's how they come across in their channels. I don't know how they are personally. And some part of me still yearns to be like that. Perhaps to fit in. Part of being who I am growing up has meant that I've never felt like I fit into any particular group. I've always sort of been a member of this group, and this group, and this group, and this group, but never part of any of them fully, if that makes any sense. But these YouTubers I watch all seem to belong to their own little tubes. Booktube, studytube, lawtube. Yes, I got into that randomly. Multipotentialite strikes again. So I tried to model myself after them, but I'm not them. I'm me. So I'm changing my channel. So instead of Squirrel's Bookshelf, I am changing my channel name to Squirrely Nerdy Jess. So this aligns with my existing Instagram account, but it also just opens up the options for this channel slightly. And I know it's fairly small. It's just this little thing that doesn't really make much of a difference. I mean, yes, theoretically I can make whatever content I want on my channel, but it's a psychological thing because I know I picked the name Squirrel's Bookshelf to force myself into making this channel solely about books. And before I go any further, for my fellow bookworms, not to fear, my channel is still going to be very heavily centered around books. I have an impossibly long list of ideas, I assure you. But I'm giving myself the freedom, psychologically, to do non-bookish content as well, if I want to. I do a lot of creative projects. I'm currently doing lots of prep work for my annual Halloween party, which I go crazy with games and quests and like decorating the whole house. Maybe some people want to see that. So it's just allowing myself to say it's okay to make some non-bookish content, whether it's other creative activities or maybe vlogs or just chatty videos about life, just so that when I'm not in a bookish mood, which happens, it's just the way my whole brain works, I don't then have to put my YouTube channel on hold, because it's a mental block, let me tell you. And it means I get to just be more authentically myself. And time to change the brightness again. Right, the other thing that's held me back. I mentioned that the UK is going through a cost of living crisis. I think a lot of places are. I know we're not alone, but it is particularly bad here at the moment, without diving into politics too much. This is so bright. Should I? You are going to see this absolute mess, though, of stuff relating to the Halloween plans I mentioned. But with everything going on with my husband, it also meant that our joint income took a major dive right at the time that all of our prices began to skyrocket. So I have had to focus this entire year on things that make me immediate income, like my job, doing overtime at my job, which for a while I pushed myself to the point of breaking. I think that's where I sort of started spiraling downward, is because I just pushed myself too much. And then it became a matter of survival. But all that said, if I can open my content up just a bit, I'm hoping that will alleviate some of that pressure. But in addition, I am considering starting a Patreon account. If I do, I will just set it at the minimum, which I think is like £2 or $3, to enjoy all additional content. I will still keep my sort of most produced content on YouTube for free, but there may be extended versions of some videos or just some more casual videos. As an example, the video I'm currently working on editing is from my birthday back in May, which was my 33rd birthday, the date a Hobbit comes of age, so I did a whole Hobbit themed birthday, and I need to finish editing that. But part of that video is going to include a lovely walk through our local woods. But the thing is, I took a lot of footage, and I think it came out really well. So if I do start a Patreon account, the first video will be an extended walk through our woods on my Hobbit birthday. I'm also considering letting patrons vote on requests for videos, which will just help me prioritize my ideas. Maybe even a higher tier where you can make a request for a specific video. So I guess I just really need to know if anyone would be interested enough in supporting me on Patreon so that I can actually make more content. Like I said, at the moment I make very, very little on ad revenue, and I don't have any sponsors or anything yet. And therefore, if I have other things in life that need doing, if I can take up overtime hours at my job, or if I have any side jobs that need doing, all of that tends to take priority over YouTube, because you gotta pay the bills and, you know, eat. But if I do have a little extra financial support, I can actually make time to make more content. So if you would be seriously interested in contributing to a Patreon account, should I make one, again, I would set it at the absolute minimum that they allow me to. Please let me know in the comments. It wouldn't be contractual or anything, but I just need an idea, because again, that will take time and energy into setting that up. But there is no pressure whatsoever on my viewers to say yes. I am fully aware that many will not be able to donate even the minimum each month. There are people having a much worse experience with the cost of living crisis than we are. It's literally just to give me an idea if this is something worth looking into and pursuing. So, there are other things to chat about, but I think I may save that for a future video. This has probably gone on long enough. In the meantime, I hope to get myself back into gear. I'm gonna finish that video I filmed in May. I'm also gonna start editing some of the other videos I've got on deck. I visited a couple other literary related places that I filmed a little blog for, and just start working through my very long to-do list of ideas. So like I said, my content will still be very heavily book themed for the foreseeable future. It's just that it may not be all bookish. So thank you so much. If you made it this far, I know this video isn't particularly interesting in itself. And thank you to anyone who watches any of my content at all. A very special thank you, as always, to my current 5,202 subscribers. And that's another thing. In this whole period where I've not been uploading anything, I surpassed 5,000 subscribers, which is a milestone. And I wasn't here for that. And I said I wasn't going to apologize. I'm so grateful that any of you subscribe to my content. You know, I do it because I enjoy it, and obviously I haven't been in a place to enjoy it recently, but I don't want to take it for granted that I do have my own little pocket of the internet, and it is a very kind pocket, and a very fun and nerdy pocket. An extra thank you. And finally, I am going to change my outro. So with that, be kind, be curious, be authentic, and effective. And hopefully see you real soon. Drink water, too. I think I'm gonna go read a book now. P.S. In making this video, I rewatched that TEDx talk that I talked about, and YouTube then, you know, autoplayed some other TEDx talks on similar topics, which I also thought were really good, so I'm going to link those down in the description as well. Oh, it's actually getting really warm in here. You know what? In the UK this year, we have not had a summer. It's just been cool and drizzly and rainy, and I'm not really gonna complain because we didn't have the massive heat waves that like everyone else was suffering from, but it's like the weather listened to everyone's endless complaints throughout the entirety of summer and said, oh, you want summer? Fine, I'll give you summer. And then we've just had this massive heat wave for the last week, and it's just been rather annoying because now I'm in an autumn mood. I'm like, look at this. I want this weather now, please. Anyway.